Hey folks, Segasonicfan here, and I've got a unique solution to a very common laptop repair problem that you might find useful. This here is a touchscreen Dell 4th generation i7. I don't have the exact model, it's underneath the computer, but there's plenty of these. It doesn't really matter. This problem affects pretty much all laptops you'll ever come across, and that is a broken hinge. More specifically, the hinge is usually fine. It's the mounting standoff that breaks. And what is so frustrating about these is a little bit of better engineering could really prevent this, but such is life sometimes. It's very, very common. What happens is there's a threaded standoff, a brass standoff that's usually injection molded into plastic, either the plastic case or in this case probably just glued onto the back frame and with the plastic like bevel around the monitor. And that plastic will break. And if you look here, you can see that there is, if my, let me adjust my contrast here. Trying to zoom in here. But you'll see here that there's this ring around the dark plastic there. And that's where the standoff just snapped off. And so what I want to show you is a real solid solution. Now you can of course get some epoxy in there and try to do all kinds of finagling. In my experience, it just never holds up because these hinges have so much. I mean, they're meant to hold up this giant monitor, right? And so when you're bending it, it really puts a lot of lateral pressure on that joint, and it just doesn't hold up with any kind of adhesive that I've found, including like liquid nails, different epoxies, etc., etc. So I developed a technique which I never heard of used elsewhere. Maybe it is, but it's sort of a surefire way to do this. If you're trying to get a computer working, you don't care about what it looks like. In the case of this one, I'm going to be donating this, so I just need this to be functioning. And so what I'm doing is drilling a hole through where that standoff was and pushing through metric screws with nuts and washers to basically make the frame, the outer frame itself, the support material and not any kind of glue or brass standoff. So make sure you're wearing protection eyewear when you do this. And in my case, I'm using a small enough bit for an M2 or M3 screw to come through. So I wouldn't do anything larger than like 2.75 millimeters. And what's nice is this is actually a pretty soft aluminum that isn't too hard to drill through. And it looks like this is going to be a little tricky to do on camera, but I'm trying so you can all see. All right, and I've got it more or less in the middle there. Make sure again to wear your eye protection. Shards of metal flying out, not a good idea. I almost went blind in one eye because I didn't wear eye protection when I was younger. Don't be like me. And now I'm going to go ahead and pull out my box of various screws. And what's cool is you can get some pretty nice M2 and M3 mounting kits like this. I'm going to go with an M3, I think. I don't know if I'll do all of this next step on camera because I might have to go digging for the correct washer size for this particular one. You've got quite a wide opening in the metal hinge there, which makes it a little bit trickier. And the drill I've used is around a 2 millimeter, so what I'm going to be actually doing is threading part of the aluminum. It's soft enough that I think it's going to work. If not, I'll just change to a larger bit, and that'll be fine too. And then, of course, at the end of it all, I'm going to put a couple of nuts. Now, you can, of course, thread lock these nuts if you really want. They have a thread locking adhesive you can buy. You just put one drop of thread lock, folks. Don't overdo it. And that'll work quite well. But for anyone that doesn't think it's going to vibrate off anytime soon, which was definitely definitely my feeling, I'm not too worried about it. I'm going to forego the thread lock. But we'll see if the head of the screw, yeah, it goes right through. So I'm definitely going to need a washer. And let's see what I have in the washer department. I do have a nylon washer. Might be good enough. The one issue with this particular laptop too is the screw heads are particularly flush with the plastic bezel that goes on top, and that's going to make my life a little bit trickier. Not impossible, but just a little bit trickier. I might have to drill out a bit of the plastic cover on here. And this is the part where I'm trying to thread it now. And that might not have been a great idea. We'll find out soon. Yeah, threading it's not going to work because the threads are too fine on these machine screws, and the aluminum is not as soft as I was hoping. Not a big deal at all. I'm just going to go in here, widen that hole a little bit. It's nice to start out with a pilot hole, something that's not too huge, because then you can also, when you widen the hole, you can center it a little better if you need to. I don't think I did the most amazing job centering this, but that's okay. Of course, you want to be careful not to hit the screen, any part of the screen when you're doing this. It's quite fragile when the cover's off here. Aha, and there we go. So now I'll put, I'm going to hold here. You want to be really careful not to just be bending this over and over again without any kind of support. So I'm going to use my finger to support it first. I'm going to go around to the outside of it here, and you can see there's that screw poking through. And so you do have this aesthetic sort of drawback to this, but it sure beats having a laptop where the screen doesn't even stay up, and you might as well just throw it away at that point. So it's a nice way to take something, especially these older ones, that might get e-wasted, but actually make some use out of it still. Find it a good home. And this doesn't take very long, and it sure doesn't cost very much. Just getting a bolt in here. And the stability of it, of course, is fantastic. I could do another washer on the outside. I might try that, but already with just one screw, this is now working. And it's a nice M3 screw too. So it's beefy. It's going to do the job just fine. Like I said, the only thing that's going to be a little tricky is this cover here. I might have to just poke a hole or file away some of the plastic on the inside there if there's not enough Z-height clearance, because they designed this. If you look at the other hinge, these screws are completely flat, and I'm not going to find those. Those are just hard to find. It's not also just not worth it. I'm just, like I said, I'm just donating this to someone, person who's currently homeless and needs a laptop. So yeah, anyway, I'm not going to find ones that are super flat like that. So I'm going to go with what I got, these M3s. I'm going to widen that other hole, get another washer on here. I'm just using some nylon washers, and I think they're going to do just fine. In fact, they even add like a little bit of, they seem to add like a little bit of cushioning, which is great. Yeah, a little bit of, nylon's a very strong material though, so I'm not worried about issues. And yeah, we're going to get this one all fixed today, I think. It's going to be nice. More to come. So we're back here with this Dell laptop hinge repair, and the hinge is looking great. Take a look at that. You've got those nice nylon washers. Sorry for the shaking camera there. You got the nice nylon washers, the M3 screws. The washers are holding up real well. And now I can fold the laptop. Get this nice metal backing, so I don't need to do any kind of additional washers or reinforcement. So it's metal supporting metal, which is really nice. And it feels quite solid. So it's not going to feel perfect until I get the front bezel on, which supports the holding the screen down as well. But before I did that, I thought I'd also talk about something else that came up. So while the bevel, the glass cover and front bevel, this whole thing, has been off, there is something fell down, hit the screen. Really sucked. Some other tools I was pulling out of a shelf. And so you'll see these marks here. Now, fortunately, when it's running and everything, it's not really, you really can't notice it at all. But there is a way to even fix this, and sometimes it is noticeable. And the way to do this is by using plastic scratch remover. And in this case, the Novus is what I use. And it's quite effective. And my usual go-to is the number 2 or the number 3. I think these aren't really heavy scratches, so I'm guessing 2 is going to work. You put this into a towel and you just really kind of rub it in, and it works its magic. I'm going to do this carefully, of course. I don't want to damage the screen in any way, but there should be enough of a protective cover on the screen that I could do this safely. Probably should have done this before working on the hinge, because if I screw this up, the hinge isn't going to matter. But I think it'll be fine. So I guess I'll show a little bit of that on camera, and then I'll stop for a little bit to do this off camera. Now mine is actually pretty old, so I have to kind of it's kind of hardened a bit. I've had this stuff for, oh geez, over 10 years now. It's actually a present from a friend a long time ago. And so yep, get a little bit like that. You don't need too much. Get some light on here. I'm using a microfiber cloth, but it doesn't really matter what you use. Just something. Hey, looks like this is working pretty well. Those scratches weren't too deep. Not bad at all. Look at that. This is going to be a nice, clean, gifted laptop. Okay, and then I'm going to do a little bit of the number 1, which is the really fine, just kind of a cleaner, really. Doesn't do much. It's very. And yeah, I don't see any, unless that's part of it. Nope, that was just lint. Yeah, looking good. You can also do just a little bit. I got a little bit of Windex here. Glass cleaner. Can do a little bit of that. And then after I do that, I'm going to use my lint-free cloth. I'm doing this. This is the pro way. When you get all the tools, this is overkill. You don't need to do this. But I've got some lint-free. I'll show it to you. Delicate task wipers. These are used in like hospitals and stuff for when you really can't have lint in like a treated wound or something. Get rid of all those fingerprints and all that kind of stuff. Now, before I close this up, and look at that, that's terrific. Looks terrific. Before I close this up, I'm also going to use my shop air compressor. I'm fortunate enough to have a big, nice shop air compressor blow all the additional lint and stuff out. This is not lint, dust, particles, whatever. Contaminants. And then I'm going to be good to go. I just have to check this bezel, maybe file down this plastic a little bit to have it, have those screws not poke it out. But this is all just about ready to go. So, yeah. Hope this video has been helpful. I'll maybe show one more clip of it all together and turned on. And yeah. All right, folks, so we're back here with this Dell all repaired and finished and ready to go and donate. As you can see, we've got the 2 nuts here for the screen hinge support. And I actually didn't have to sand down any of the plastic. It looks like there was just enough Z height, even with those concave shaped screws, which replaced the flat ones. And these, by the way, I thought I'd show a little up close what broke. This is the screw that was in there before. You can see it's totally flat, which is why I was worried about the Z height. And then you can see, if I rotate it here, this is what breaks, folks. This is the threaded insert this brass threaded insert goes into the plastic through usually a heat press or a push mechanism, and you can see the screw threads into that brass. But all it needs is the plastic to be old or weakened or brittle or whatever else can happen, and it just will pull out that brass insert. So that's a far cry from an actual threaded nut on the other side of the bezel. This ain't gonna break, folks. On the other side of the casing, this is really solid stuff. And so yeah, we've got this really nice computer. I used my air compressor, and everything is just great for the screen and everything. It's a nice touch screen, and so yeah, all the dust is removed from it, and it's ready to go. One thing to keep note is the model number got rubbed off, which really sucks, but I'm gonna go ahead and just put my own sticker on there. I did manage to just do some searching for like Dell silver laptop generation 4. And I looked on eBay and eventually found the model number for this. So yeah, folks, doing mechanical repairs can do wonders, and this hinge repair I think is gonna outlive the laptop actually. So hopefully this video is useful to you. Thanks for checking it out.